Welcome back to our channel World of Coins, the place where we uncover hidden treasures in your coin collection. Have you ever wondered if that old coins could be worth thousands or even millions? Well, today's your lucky day. We're diving into some of the rarest and most valuable US coins that might be sitting right under your nose. Let's jump in and see if you've got a fortune waiting to be discovered. Top 1. When you think of hidden treasures, your mind might wander to sunken pirate ships, ancient gold artifacts, or glittering gemstones locked away in secret vaults. But what if I told you that one of America's greatest treasures could be resting quietly in your pocket change, or perhaps forgotten in a dusty jar on a bookshelf? Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating history and astonishing value of the United States of America Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny from the year 1944, a coin that, in rare cases, has proven to be worth far more than anyone could have imagined. The Lincoln wheat penny holds a special place in American history, and its origins trace back to 1909, the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The U.S. Mint decided it was time to honor the legacy of one of the nation's most beloved presidents by placing his profile on the obverse of the smallest and most commonly used coin, the penny. Designed by Victor David Brenner, this iconic coin features a solemn and dignified image of Lincoln, facing right, symbolizing the strength, humility, and resilience of the man who held the country together through its darkest hours. On the reverse side, two stylized wheat ears embrace the words, 1 cent, and United States of America, flanked by the proud motto, E pluribus unum. This design, known as the wheat reverse, remained in use until 1958 and has since become a favorite among collectors for its simplicity, beauty, and historical significance. Now, the year 1944 was a remarkable moment in world history. The world was still engulfed in the turmoil of World War II. The United States was focused on victory abroad and supporting its troops with every resource it could muster. As a result, the U.S. Mint faced constant pressure to conserve materials for the war effort. Just 1 year earlier, in 1943, pennies were struck in steel coated with zinc instead of copper, because copper was a critical war material needed for ammunition and military equipment. These steelies, as they came to be known, were unique, short-lived, and remained famous among coin enthusiasts, but in 1944, the Mint returned to using copper for the penny. However, the copper used wasn't the same as pre-war compositions. In a fascinating twist of history, the 1944 Lincoln wheat pennies were often made from recycled shell casings recovered from battlefields and military training grounds. These casings were melted down and used to produce coins, symbolizing a unique connection between the home front and the front lines of war. That fact alone makes the 1944 wheat penny a piece of living history, a coin that carries the story of sacrifice and resilience in its very metal. Though hundreds of millions of pennies were minted in 1944 from facilities in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, not all of them are created equal. For most people, a 1944 wheat penny might be worth just a few cents, or perhaps $1 or $2 if it's in good condition. But in the world of numismatics, condition, rarity, and minting anomalies can transform an ordinary coin into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. This is especially true when a coin has been impeccably preserved or struck with an unexpected error that makes it incredibly rare. Among the 1944 Lincoln wheat pennies, certain varieties and errors have become legendary. One of the most famous is the 1944 steel penny, an extremely rare coin that was accidentally struck in leftover steel planchets from the previous year. These mistakes are exceptionally scarce and have fetched staggering prices at auction. There are also examples of double dies, off-center strikes, and repunched mint marks that add to the intrigue and increase the value dramatically. The condition of the coin plays a critical role too. A coin that has never been circulated, with brilliant red coloring, sharp detail, and no signs of wear, can be worth many times more than one that's been handled for decades. Imagine discovering a 1944 penny that has somehow avoided the touch of time, no fingerprints, no scratches, no corrosion. Its fields are clean and glossy, its edges are sharp, and every letter and line stands out like it was minted yesterday. These coins are graded as mint state, and when they reach the highest levels, MS 67 or MS 68, they become the holy grail for collectors. Demand for high-grade 1944 wheat pennies has continued to grow, fueled by passionate numismatists and investors who recognize the value in American history preserved in metal. What makes this particular coin so attractive isn't just its aesthetic appeal or scarcity, it's the narrative that surrounds it. Every 1944 Lincoln penny is a relic of a critical moment in global history. Each one connects us to the people who lived, worked, and sacrificed during World War II. It's a coin that doesn't just carry a denomination, it carries a legacy, and now, for the moment you've been waiting for. One exceptional 1944 Lincoln wheat penny, perfectly preserved and struck in extraordinary condition, was evaluated by professional graders and deemed one of the finest known to exist. Its rarity and quality ignited fierce bidding in a high-profile coin auction. Collectors and investors, knowing the historical weight and visual perfection of this specific coin, drove the price to an astounding figure. In the end, that single 1944 Lincoln wheat penny sold for $125,000. Top 2. In the world of coin collecting, certain coins go beyond their monetary face value and transform into historical artifacts, silent witnesses to America's past, its culture, its milestones, and its untold stories. Among these treasures is a humble-looking yet richly meaningful coin, the United States of America Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny from the year 1941. Though it may appear small and insignificant at first glance, this coin holds within it a powerful narrative and, in rare cases, an astonishing financial value that has collectors and investors alike watching closely. What makes this coin so special? Why does it captivate so many numismatists across the globe? Let's take a closer look at what turns this copper coin into a coveted collectible worth far more than just 1 cent. The 1941 Lincoln wheat penny was minted at a pivotal time in American history. The country was emerging from the shadow of the Great Depression, and although the Second World War had already begun in Europe, the United States had not yet officially entered the conflict. It was a year of uncertainty, of economic recovery, and of preparation. As citizens worked diligently to rebuild their lives, coins like the Lincoln cent were constantly exchanging hands, buying food, paying for transportation, supporting families. That's what makes coins from this era so special. They weren't just minted, they lived and breathed in the real world. They were witnesses to the everyday struggles and victories of ordinary Americans. The Lincoln wheat penny itself is steeped in symbolism. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure, President Abraham Lincoln, whose legacy of leadership, unity, and emancipation made him a fitting choice. His profile, designed by Victor David Brenner, was introduced in 1909 and remained on the coin for decades. The reverse of the penny featured 2 wheat stalks, symbols of prosperity, growth, and America's agricultural backbone. Together, the design elements paid tribute to the values that helped shape the nation: hard work, resilience, and freedom. The 1941 version of this coin was produced in massive numbers across 3 mints, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. With hundreds of millions made, most 1941 pennies are relatively common. However, the true value in this coin lies not in the volume produced but in the quality, rarity of condition, and unique minting errors that have surfaced over the years. Collectors seek out pristine examples that have somehow survived more than 80 years without being touched by time. These coins are called mint state coins and are graded on a 70-point scale by professional grading services. A penny graded MS-67 or MS-68 is considered to be in near-perfect condition and is worth exponentially more than a worn-down example from pocket change, but even more exciting are the rare errors that have been discovered in some 1941 wheat pennies. These can include double die obverse, where the date or lettering appears slightly doubled due to a misaligned die during the minting process. Other error types include off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and repunched mint marks. These minting mistakes, far from being flaws, are actually prized by collectors for their uniqueness. They make the coin a one-of-a-kind artifact, a rare combination of history and manufacturing imperfection that fascinates and excites the numismatic community. In some extraordinary cases, a 1941 wheat penny has been discovered in a condition so flawless, or with an error so rare, that its value skyrockets. It becomes more than just a coin, it becomes a story, an investment, a symbol of the past that has earned a place in the future. These are the coins that show up at prestigious auctions, the ones that collectors are willing to fight over because of their unparalleled preservation or distinct characteristics. The thrill of finding one, even the chance of owning one, has fueled a passionate and growing interest in older pennies, especially those from the wartime and pre-war periods. For many, the dream is to stumble upon a forgotten penny in a drawer, a jar, or an inherited coin collection, one that turns out to be worth a small fortune. It has happened before, and it can happen again. With expert grading, patience, and a keen eye, a simple penny could open the door to an unexpected treasure. That's the magic of numismatics. It blends history, luck, skill, and storytelling into one fascinating pursuit. And now, we come to the most exciting part. One 1941 Lincoln wheat penny, preserved in exceptional condition and authenticated by professional graders as one of the finest examples ever found, shocked collectors and enthusiasts when it was placed on the auction block. Its flawless luster, sharp strike, and rarity made it the centerpiece of the event. After intense bidding and worldwide attention, this historic 1-cent coin sold for an incredible total of $135,000. Top 3. In the vast world of American coinage, few coins have captured the imagination and devotion of collectors quite like the Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny. It's a coin steeped in heritage, a tribute to one of the nation's greatest leaders, and a symbol of resilience through some of the most pivotal decades in U.S. history. Among the many years the Lincoln wheat penny was minted, the 1945 edition stands out, not necessarily because of rarity in numbers, but because of the stories it represents and the surprising value a single coin from that year can hold. What might seem like an ordinary copper penny at first glance could, in fact, be a key to a six-figure treasure, especially if you're lucky enough to hold one in pristine condition or with a rare minting anomaly. The year 1945 was a significant moment in global history. The world was finally witnessing the end of the most devastating conflict in human history, World War II. The United States had played a major role in achieving victory, and with peace finally declared, Americans were preparing to transition from the hardships of war to a future filled with new hope. Factories that once produced military supplies were beginning to focus on consumer goods again. Families were being reunited. Soldiers were returning home. Amidst this historic transformation, the Lincoln wheat penny continued to be minted and circulated widely across the nation, just as it had for decades. But these weren't just small change, they were tangible pieces of a country rebuilding itself, 1 cent at a time. The Lincoln wheat penny design had been around since 1909, the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person rather than an allegorical figure, and it was an important cultural moment. Lincoln's image on the obverse, paired with the two symbolic wheat stalks on the reverse, honored his legacy and represented the strength of the American people. This design remained until 1958 and became one of the most beloved among coin enthusiasts. By 1945, the Lincoln penny was being produced in 3 mints, Philadelphia, no mint mark, Denver, D, and San Francisco, S. That year, over 1 billion pennies were struck in total. Most of them have long since worn down through decades of use, sitting unnoticed in drawers or spent without a second thought. However, within those billions are a small number of exceptional coins that have withstood the passage of time in remarkable condition. These are the pennies that collectors dream about, coins that escaped circulation entirely, preserved in mint state, with every detail of Lincoln's profile and every grain of the wheat ears still sharp and vivid, and beyond condition. There's another factor that fuels the value of the 1945 penny: errors. Minting errors can occur for a number of reasons, such as a misaligned die, double strikes, or repunched mint marks. These imperfections, when rare enough, can send a coin's value soaring. For example, a 1945 penny with a visible doubling on the date or lettering, known as a doubled die, is a major find. Similarly, off-center strikes or clipped planchets, while not as visually dramatic, are highly sought after. Every error tells a unique story, transforming a common coin into a prized collectible, but even without an error, the sheer quality of a coin, how well it has been preserved, can command stunning prices. A 1945 penny that has never been touched by human hands, kept in its original mint luster, and graded at the highest levels by professional grading services, can become a standout rarity. Fewer than a handful of such coins exist in this elite state of preservation. They are almost museum pieces, snapshots of wartime America, forever frozen in copper. Today, collectors around the world compete to add such pieces to their collections, not just for the investment potential, but for the emotional and historical connection. Holding a 1945 penny in near-perfect condition is like holding a piece of the American home front during World War II, a reminder of the sacrifices, the spirit, and the national pride that defined that era. For some, it's a tribute to a grandparent who fought overseas or worked in wartime factories. For others, it's a symbol of how something so small can still carry immense meaning, and now, for the moment every coin lover waits for, the value. While most 1945 Lincoln wheat pennies may only fetch a few cents, one extraordinary example, graded at an incredibly high level and preserved in impeccable condition, was sold in a highly anticipated coin auction that drew attention from top collectors across the country. After an intense round of bidding, this single copper coin, struck nearly 8 decades ago, reached an unbelievable final sale amount. That humble little penny was purchased for an astonishing total of $120,000. Top 4. In the expansive and often surprising world of coin collecting, there are certain coins that spark curiosity, passion, and even obsession. The Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny from the year 1917 is one such coin, a small, copper-colored relic that holds within it not only monetary value, but a rich story carved from American history. At first glance, the 1917 wheat penny may look like just another old cent, one that might slip past the average person's eye at the bottom of a coin jar. But to seasoned collectors and history enthusiasts, it represents a tangible link to a bygone era, an era of change, challenge, and remarkable progress. And for those lucky enough to discover a rare example of this coin in pristine condition, it could be the key to a life-changing fortune. Let's rewind to the year 1917. The United States was on the brink of a dramatic shift, both politically and economically. World War I was raging in Europe, and America had just entered the conflict. This was a time when everyday Americans were adjusting to a new reality, rationing, war bonds, and a rapidly evolving economy. The Lincoln wheat penny, first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, was in full circulation. Designed by Victor David Brenner, this coin was the first in U.S. history to bear the image of a real person. Lincoln's solemn profile on the obverse served not only as a tribute to the 16th president's legacy, but also as a symbol of American unity during turbulent times. The reverse of the coin, featuring 2 stylized wheat stalks flanking the words, 1 cent and United States of America, gave the coin its enduring nickname, the wheat penny. It was simple, elegant, and immediately recognizable. During 1917, the penny was minted at 3 locations, Philadelphia, No Mint Mark, Denver, D, and San Francisco, S. While hundreds of millions were struck, time has taken its toll on most of them. Many have been worn down through decades of circulation, their details faded, their edges smoothed. But hidden among them are rare survivors, coins that somehow avoided wear, were carefully stored, and today remain in immaculate condition. These gems are what collectors dream of, coins that showcase the sharpness of Brenner's original design, with Lincoln's features still crisp and the wheat ears boldly defined. And even more valuable are those 1917 pennies that contain mint errors. Double dies, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks. Each of these anomalies occurred when the coin dies were improperly aligned or reused, leading to unique variations that were never meant to exist. In the world of numismatics, these errors are not flaws, they're rare treasures. When discovered in combination with near-perfect preservation, they elevate a coin's status from collectible to extraordinary. But what truly makes the 1917 Lincoln penny so interesting is how it connects us directly to history. Think about it, every single one of those pennies has witnessed over a century of change. They existed before the Great Depression, before the invention of television, before space travel or the internet. These coins passed through the hands of Americans during Prohibition, through the pockets of factory workers and farmers, through the lunchboxes of schoolchildren in the Roaring Twenties. Each one holds a silent story, and each carries the enduring legacy of Lincoln, a president who reshaped the nation with a vision of unity and equality. finding a 1917 wheat penny in excellent condition today is like discovering a time capsule. For coin collectors, it's not just about the metal or the mintage numbers, it's about holding a piece of American spirit that has survived more than 100 years. The thrill lies in its rarity, its historical significance, and, of course, its market value. Collectors from around the world are willing to pay top dollar to own a specimen that's been graded highly by professional services such as PCGS or NGC. These coins are evaluated meticulously for their condition, strike quality, luster, and color. The highest graded examples are few and far between, and they often headline major coin auctions with jaw-dropping results. So, what could this humble cent be worth today if you happen to find a superb example? Imagine a 1917 Lincoln wheat penny, uncirculated, untouched by time, preserved in its full copper-red brilliance, free of marks and rich in detail. At auction, one such coin stunned the numismatic community when it fetched an eye-watering sum. That single penny, a coin most people would overlook, was sold for an astounding $170,000. Top 5. Imagine finding a simple copper coin tucked away in an old jar, forgotten in the back of a drawer or resting quietly in a relative's collection, coated in years of dust and history. You pick it up, give it a glance, and read the date, 1953. It's a Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny, something you might have seen many times before. But what if I told you that this tiny piece of metal could be worth more than the average car, more than a year's salary for many people, and even more than some houses in small towns? That's the kind of mystery and magic hidden in the world of coin collecting, and today, we're diving deep into the incredible story of the 1953 Lincoln wheat penny, a coin that looks modest but can be worth a small fortune. The Lincoln cent, first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, was a groundbreaking coin for the United States. It was the first regularly circulating coin to feature a real historical figure, and its design by Victor David Brenner instantly became iconic. On the obverse, Lincoln's profile faces right, solemn and strong. On the reverse, two stalks of wheat flank the words, 1 cent, and United States of America, along with the Latin phrase, e pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one. This simple yet powerful design was in use until 1958 and today is one of the most nostalgic and beloved coin styles for collectors. Now, let's go back to 1953. It was the post-war boom era. The United States was filled with optimism, economic growth was strong, and the baby boom generation was taking root. In that environment, the U.S. Mint continued producing billions of Lincoln cents, including those bearing the 1953 date. These pennies were struck in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, designated by either no mint mark, D, or an S, respectively. While these coins were produced in large quantities, very few of them have survived the decades in pristine condition, and that's where things get exciting. What most people don't realize is that even a coin as common-seeming as a wheat penny can become incredibly rare and valuable if a few factors line up. First is condition. Most 1953 pennies were spent into circulation quickly. They paid for candy, newspapers, soda machines, and were passed through countless hands. As a result, they became worn, scratched, and discolored. But a very small number were preserved, either by collectors at the time or by sheer luck, placed in albums, tucked in rolls, or kept in drawers away from wear and tear. These uncirculated or near-perfect condition coins, known as mint state or proof coins, can be worth hundreds or even thousands of times their face value. Then, there are errors and varieties. The U.S. Mint wasn't immune to mistakes, especially during the high-production years of the mid-20th century. In 1953, some Lincoln cents were struck with double dies, off-center strikes, or other unusual errors that make them unique. These mint errors are incredibly collectible because they are extremely scarce. A coin with the right error, in the right condition, with the right provenance, can fetch jaw-dropping prices at auction. Combine that with a popular series like the wheat penny, and you've got a coin that collectors will fight over. But value isn't only about rarity. It's also about demand, and the Lincoln wheat penny series has one of the most loyal followings in all of numismatics. Collectors love the design, the historical tie to Abraham Lincoln, and the affordability of starting a collection, while still having the potential to chase extremely rare and expensive examples. For many collectors, the 1953 penny represents the perfect balance. It's not too obscure, it's full of history, and it still offers the thrill of finding a valuable treasure in the wild. And speaking of treasure, this is where it gets really interesting. While most 1953 wheat pennies are worth only a few cents to a few dollars depending on their condition, a very specific coin sold in recent years has shocked the coin collecting community. This particular coin, a 1953 Lincoln wheat penny, was graded in an extremely high mint state condition and exhibited near-perfect strike quality with deep, vibrant luster, attributes that make it a gem in the eyes of collectors. With its exceptional preservation, flawless details, and rare quality, this coin crossed the auction block and sold for an absolutely stunning amount. The final price, spoken not in mere digits, but in powerful words that reflect just how incredible the world of coin collecting can be, was $120,000. Top 6. If you've ever come across a jar of old coins in a grandparent's attic, or casually flipped through some change and noticed a worn, coppery penny with wheat stalks on the back, you might not have thought much of it. But what if I told you that one of those humble pennies, dated 1954, could be hiding a jaw-dropping secret? In the world of coin collecting, not all coins are created equal. Some may look ordinary on the surface, but beneath that dull copper glow lies a story of history, rarity, and incredible value. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the fascinating legacy of the United States Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny from 1954, an unassuming coin that, in rare cases, has been known to command a small fortune. The Lincoln wheat penny series is one of the most iconic and beloved in American numismatics. Introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth, it was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse features Lincoln's profile, stoic and timeless, while the reverse displays two wheat ears framing the denomination and country name. The design would go on to define American pennies for nearly 50 years, ending its run in 1958 before being replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse. But within those decades lie stories, quirks, and coins so rare they now exist as hidden treasures. The 1954 wheat penny was minted during a time of post-war prosperity in the United States. The country was evolving, the population growing, and the economy booming. Millions of these coins were struck at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, identified by no mint mark, D, or an S, respectively. They were released into daily circulation and used by Americans to buy soda, newspapers, bus fare, and candy. To most people, these pennies were nothing more than spare change. But to a trained eye, or a fortunate collector, some of these coins were destined to become incredibly valuable. So, what makes a 1954 Lincoln wheat penny worth far more than 1 cent? It all comes down to three essential factors: condition, rarity, and collector demand. First, condition is king in the world of coins. While most 1954 pennies were heavily circulated, acquiring scratches, dings, and discoloration, a very small number were preserved in stunning, original condition. These coins, known as mint state examples, exhibit no wear and boast their original shine, sharp detail, and beautiful luster. If such a coin has survived untouched for decades, it instantly becomes a candidate for high-grade certification, and with that comes a huge leap in value. Rarity, of course, plays a key role too. While millions of 1954 pennies were made, not all of them are equal. Certain varieties, especially those with mint errors, are highly sought after. Some 1954 wheat pennies may show double dies, where the coin was struck twice by the die, creating a noticeable ghost or shadow effect on the lettering and numbers. Others may exhibit off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or even transitional metal composition errors. These mistakes, though unintentional, make a coin far more collectible. Add in the fact that some mint state coins may only exist in very limited quantities, and you have a rarity that collectors are eager to pursue. Demand is the final piece of the puzzle. Lincoln cents are among the most widely collected coins in the U.S. They hold a special place in the hearts of millions. Whether it's because they're associated with President Lincoln, because they were the first coins kids learned to collect, or simply due to their beautiful and historic design, the Lincoln Wheat Penny remains one of the most popular series in coin collecting. Collectors often aim to complete sets of every date and mint mark, and when they want to add a high-grade or rare error coin to their collection, they are willing to pay handsomely. Now imagine this, a 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny, preserved in near-flawless mint state condition, gleaming with the original copper shine it had the day it was struck. Its details are crisp, its surface is untouched by circulation, and it has perhaps a rare doubling or an error that makes it one of a kind. Such a coin wouldn't just attract attention, it would create waves in the numismatic world. At a prestigious coin auction, where top collectors gather and competition is fierce, this penny stands out. As the bidding intensifies, numbers climb higher and higher, and eventually, the final gavel drops at a truly astonishing price. That single 1954 Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny, small enough to fit between your fingers, was sold for $108,000. Top 7. Imagine holding a coin that once jingled in the pockets of someone living in the 1950s, a time when Elvis Presley was just breaking into the music scene, when families gathered around black and white televisions, and gas cost only 24 cents per gallon. Now picture that this same coin, which originally had the face value of just 1 cent, could be worth tens of thousands of dollars today. Sounds impossible? Not quite. Welcome to the fascinating world of numismatics, where history, rarity, and condition converge to turn everyday objects into extraordinary treasures. Today, we're diving deep into the story of the 1957 Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny, a humble coin that carries more weight and value than most people ever imagine. The Lincoln Wheat Penny has long captured the hearts of coin collectors across America. First introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the design broke with tradition as the first U.S. coin to depict a real historical person rather than a symbolic figure. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse showcases the unmistakable profile of President Lincoln, while the reverse features 2 wheat stalks flanking the words, 1 cent, a design that would go on to be minted until 1958. The 1957 edition of the Lincoln Wheat Penny marks one of the final years in this design's legendary run, making it a nostalgic artifact for collectors who value both beauty and legacy. In 1957, the U.S. Mint struck Lincoln Wheat Pennies at 2 primary facilities, Philadelphia and Denver. The Philadelphia version carries no mint mark, while the Denver coin can be identified by a small D beneath the date. Between the two, over 1 billion pennies were produced that year. With such a high mintage, it might seem unlikely that any single coin from this year could be worth more than face value. But here's where the story gets interesting. Despite the high production numbers, only a microscopic fraction of these pennies have survived the decades in pristine condition. Most were passed from hand to hand, used in vending machines, tossed into jars, and worn down by daily life. But a very few, just a rare few, managed to escape circulation entirely, preserved in their original, brilliant mint state. Condition is everything in the world of coin collecting. The term mint state refers to coins that have never been used in commerce. These coins have sharp details, bright luster, and virtually no signs of handling. A 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny graded at mint state 65 or higher by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC is already valuable. But if it's even higher, say, MS 67 or above, it enters an elite tier. Collectors prize these coins because they are time capsules, untouched by wear, and visually stunning. The search for the perfect specimen has become a lifelong passion for many numismatists, and the competition to own one is fierce. Beyond condition, error coins elevate value exponentially. Some 1957 wheat pennies left the mint with unexpected flaws that make them one of a kind. Double die errors, where the coin appears to have been stamped twice with a slight shift, can create fascinating effects on the lettering or Lincoln's features. Off-center strikes, die cracks, repunched mint marks, these errors, while mistakes during production, are goldmines for collectors. Error coins are valued not only for their rarity but for the stories they tell about the minting process and the era in which they were made. Historical context also plays a vital role in a coin's appeal. 1957 was a transformative year for the United States. It was the height of the baby boom, the Cold War was heating up, and American culture was in a state of vibrant transition. The Lincoln penny, already a familiar item in every household, became a quiet witness to the events of the time. People used these pennies to buy candy, newspapers, coffee, and even movie tickets to see classics like The Bridge on the River Kwai. Holding a coin from that era is like holding a tangible piece of American life, a small but powerful reminder of a simpler time. For collectors today, acquiring a top-grade or era 1957 wheat penny isn't just about owning a piece of copper, it's about owning a slice of history, a relic that has survived more than 6 decades in impeccable shape. These coins have passed through generations, sometimes hidden away in drawers, books, or coin albums, waiting for the right person to rediscover their significance and value. And in a world where most pennies are overlooked, finding one that stands out in such a spectacular way is a thrill like no other. Now let's talk numbers. Most circulated 1957 Lincoln wheat pennies are worth a few cents to a few dollars. But the rarest examples, those in near-perfect condition, especially with unique errors, can command massive attention at auctions and among private collectors. These coins aren't just currency anymore, they are prized collectibles, investments, and symbols of American heritage. And one particular 1957 Lincoln penny, preserved in flawless mint state condition with features that made it truly exceptional, stunned the numismatic world when it went to auction. After fierce bidding and worldwide interest, this seemingly ordinary penny reached an extraordinary selling price. That single 1-cent coin from 1957 was sold for an incredible amount, $95,000.